Okay.
In theory, we're live.
Let's see if I see it in my feed. I do. I see it in the feed. All right.
Us.
I'm going to. All right. Join us. If I comment, does it bump it up? Or do I have to do a quote post? I don't know. It's interesting. I'm going to do a quote. Quote, join us as we live stream Business Brain for Business Brain today. Topics include change is the only constant. If you're just joining us, thank you very much for clicking in here. Change is the only constant. Always be following up. Online warped perspective and an AI update.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hey.
All right.
Oh,
terrific.
Get rid of that. Quit that app. Quit.
All right. Fantastic.
App.
Do a little pre-show stretching here. It's always important when you're ready to do your podcast.
I had a massage at the resort in Mexico.
Yeah, nice. That's fantastic.
It was a deep tissue massage, which I've had before.
Sometimes that hurts.
Dude, she stretched me before we massaged.
Oh,
she massaged
did,
me.
Huh? Yeah.
I've never had that done before.
Me neither. Like she yanked your arms and your legs and your body?
She stretched me in ways that I'm still pretty sure my body can't go.
That's interesting. I've only had that once. And I had getting a massage in Vegas, and this gal was like, I was like, oh, but
she had my arm behind my back and like,
wow.
Yeah.
Did it make the deep tissue easier to take because you were more relaxed?
Oh, the deep tissue was the relaxing part of it, man. Like once we got through the stretching, I was like, okay, thank goodness.
Yeah, see, the thing about the massage is like, I always try to tell them, hey, I don't want it to be a contest.
No,
I just want to relax.
There's no winner here.
Yes,
and definitely no loser.
Chill out. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's just, it's okay. I'm here to chill out. I'm not, and because sometimes they really get themselves like worked up.
Yes.
And it can hurt. It can hurt. And I don't.
It was something else.
I don't want to be in pain. I want to relax and chill out, especially if I'm there on vacation. Now, if you went on a regular basis, like for physical therapy kind of thing, that'd be different.
Oh, that'd be very different. Yeah, for sure. But I'm chilling in Mexico. I don't.
Exactly.
I don't need that. Nice. Oh, do you want to? No, I don't want to download anything now. Okay.
No, that would be bad.
But I do need to make a reset to my audio here. Hang on one second.
Okay. All right. I will wait. If you're just joining us now,
there we go.
We're going to record 2 episodes of Business Brain. Excuse me. We're going to record a show for tomorrow, Wednesday, February 5th, and we will record our second episode that comes out on Friday, February 7th, the Casual Friday show. So you can be along for the ride the whole time, and we appreciate having you here.
Yeah. All right. I want to do one thing.
Okay.
Chat GPT is just going to make this easier for me.
Fantastic. I love it.
If I'm using 5 or 12.
Oh, yeah. I want to talk about, I'm going to add a topic for next week. Net promoter score BS. I'm going to copy this. Okay. Copy. Did it do it? Oh, it did it. That's great. Okay. Very good.
Latency equals buffer size, sample rate. Okay. Yep. 11 milliseconds. That's what I thought. Okay.
Is that good or bad?
I can deal with I'm curious if this, like, I'm still having this weird problem where my sound crinkles sometimes, which is weird, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No sponsor this week?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, we can rock and roll as we wish to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. I'm ready whenever you are.
Same. Yep, same. Here we go. I have all that right. Yep. Here goes nothing. Business. Oh, no. I want to be on the Business Brain thing. I knew that was going to be a problem. Okay, here we go. Business Brain, episode 620 for Wednesday, February 5th. National Shower with a Friend Day 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take some ideas, we crunch them, we dissect them, we use them to help tune our business brain so that every single one of us can enhance our abilities to lead our charmed lives. And here, back here in Durham, New Hampshire, on National Shower with a Friend Day, I think that means you could just take like the show and play it while you're in the shower, and we're all friends together.
We're
that's all fine. Yeah.
I like
back,
that idea.
Yeah, back here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And I'm still out here in Northern California. I'm Shannon Jean. Correct me if I'm wrong. Don't we have an anniversary coming up?
We do. It's the 19th of February,
great.
of course.
Okay. Okay, great. I wanted to just make sure I had that date in my head. But
I think it's like a week, 2 weeks from the day this episode gets released.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to talk about, I had on my list to.
It's our 10th anniversary, but yeah.
10th. So after that, we'll be in our 11th year.
Correct.
I always want to upsell it. Right?
It's just always upsell. That's it.
Always. Yeah, I've been talking 10th year the whole year.
Yeah, but 10th year, does 10th year sound better than 11th? And if so,
a decade of
see,
podcasts.
That's the thing.
It does sound better.
There's a way to spin it, because I've been saying that we're in our 10th year of this show, and I'm in my 20th year of Mac Geek Gab. But once we hit 20, which for that show will be in June, then I get to say we've been podcasting for more than 20 years.
Yeah, I like that. For more than a decade. We're going to have to come up with some imagery, some
marketing,
graphics, and
marketing
some
speak.
Yeah. Some swag, So
I
think we should give something away too. I think, we gave away a MacBook. Not last year, but maybe the year before. And the way you got it,
23.
You got entered every time you, every time you sent in a question that we read on the air. But I think this time we also should give you another entry if you leave a review. Oh,
yeah. But you got to tell us you read the review, because
and we'll read it on air.
On the air. Well, that's it. So leave us. We're going to do this. We're not quite sure what we're giving away, but it'll be something this year.
Yes.
And it'll be something significant.
It will be.
So leave us a review. And if you've already left us a review, you can go and revise that review, right? So you go to businessbrain.show/review, revise or leave us a new review. And then you got to email us, because we don't know how to get in touch with you, but we will read your review on the air. And if you've on the show, if you forgot to email us, that's okay. You'll hear us read it on the show, and then you can email us again. And at feedback@businessbrain.show. And then we'll add your name to the list. I mean, we're going to add your name to the list anyway, but it's easier if you email us so that we know how to get in touch with you.
That's cool. I'm excited.
Stuff.
Yeah. I love giveaway. One of the things that this show has been constant, right, in my life for almost a decade, right?
That's right.
Almost 10 years. But I always, when I think back on the show, we have made a ton of changes. And I often say this phrase, and I want to dig into it because it just came back to me with a client that I have now, is that change is the only constant, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's in your business, your life, whatever. But let's keep it focused on business, because this is a business show, right? For entrepreneurs, side hustlers, business owners. But I have a client that has had great success selling one category of product. I'm not going to mention what that product is. I don't want to call them out. Doesn't matter.
Sure.
But they've been very successful quickly. They ramped up and hired people, and they rented some space and built out this whole infrastructure and created systems. To be successful. Everything was going great. Couple of years, and one day something happened where that product in that category was no longer available. Matter of fact, it became, it's. I think it may be banned or some kind of thing like that.
It really doesn't matter. It's inevitable.
Yes, this is everything. If you're in the product, if you're selling a product, everything you're selling is on its way to being obsolete.
Yeah, I mean, I would say even with what we do here, I mean, things have evolved. Things are always evolving. And here's the deal: if you cannot articulate what has changed in your business, at least on an annual basis, it means you are on your way to being extinct.
Correct. Yes, that's exactly right. It's the same argument with, okay, I'm not going to get, we're going to talk about AI more on the Friday show, but it's like, I'm not going to pay much attention to AI. I don't like it's going to replace this. I'm not happy with that, whatever. Well, either you do it yourself or someone will do it to you, right?
Yes.
You have to put yourself out of business by evolving into something different. You
compete with yourself.
Yeah, compete with yourself. Apple has been great at this, right?
Apple
they create new products and it makes their old product obsolete. But I can remember Steve Jobs saying, hey, if we don't do it, someone else is just going to do it, right? And they've had an incredible run. I don't think it's been super creative lately, but for decades, they've had an amazing run and created life-changing products for all of us.
Yeah.
So I think you have to just get comfortable. You print it out. I have it on my desk. It's like change is the only constant. It will creep up on you just when you start to get comfortable. It's something. And if you get used to this, you'll be actually looking for it, and you start to see little signs, and you can adapt quickly before, and it actually keeps you sharp. It keeps you fresh. It keeps you from getting complacent. Right.
And it can keep you excited too.
Yes.
Because if you're the one driving the change in your business, that's exciting. If some external force is driving the change in your business, that
terrifying.
Can be terrifying. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You want to be on the offense, not on defense all the time.
Correct. I mean,
right?
you're gonna be on your heels some of the time. It happens. If you find yourself
I've totally
there,
had it happen.
Oh my gosh. I would say it's probably more the norm to be on your heels than not, because you can't be aware and plan for everything. Correct. However, it's a whole lot more fun if you can at least occasionally be on the offense and pushing forward. So do that. Yeah. And if you don't know what that is for your business, ask ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It might not get it right, but it will give you ideas that you'll say, well, that's wrong, but it could be this. Well, that's all you needed it for.
Yeah.
That's all you needed it for, to spark ideas. That's it.
Yeah. It can give you a framework to kind of hang your specific situation on.
Love that.
Help you discover what's changing in your industry or whatever.
Yeah.
And I a good example is this show. When we first started, I wanted to call this show, I think we even had it in our logo, DBA. Doing business as.
That was the name of the show.
Yeah, DBA. Because I was like, oh, you're DBA, you're doing business, but people don't get DBAs anymore. They start LLCs whatever.
Most people were upset that we were not doing a show for database administrators.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what happened.
I mean, when you launched a business back then, you had to put your name in the newspaper. I'm not making this up. I have more gray hair than you. But you had to put your name in the newspaper for a week to get the DBA to go to the bank to get them to give you a bank account in that name.
That's right. That was the only way.
That was the only way.
Yeah.
So once that kind of became pretty quickly, actually, we're like, you know what? We're really talking about small business. We're going to call it Small Business Show. And then we did an interview format for years. Way before a lot of other people that did interviews with business owners, all that kind of stuff. And then that became kind of the norm. And we said, you know what? Let's really limit the interviews. And now maybe we do one once a month, once every 6 weeks, whoever we're interested in having on.
Whenever it can be valuable, in our opinion, for the show. That's it.
Because what happens is if all you have is an interview show, you're constantly looking for people to interview. And I would say sometimes the bar can get lower because you're like, wow, we got to have a guest. And, I was like, nah, we got to do something different here.
The best thing I have, and I obviously learned it from what we're doing here, but with the changes that happened with one of my other shows with Gig Gab this past year, I often will have guests on because I am the only constant in that show now that my co-host left the show. And so at first I was like, okay, wait a minute. Do I always have to have, how am I going to do this where I always have a guest? And I'm like, no. The first episode after he leaves is going to be a solo episode. And this way I set myself up for that as an okay thing to do. I set my audience up as this being look, now it's just us.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. Therefore you are, right? You teach your audience. And I was just at NAMM right before I went to Mexico.
Yep.
That conference I talked about. And I did a solo episode on Saturday night right before I went to sleep and woke up early to go and fly home. And as I sat down to do it, I'm like, this is ill-advised. I'm exhausted. Right. I've been here for 5 days. I'm toast.
Oh, yeah.
But I knew what to do. I sat down. I spent 30 minutes building an agenda. I mean, I'd sort of been building it in my head all week.
Yeah.
But I built the agenda, and then I sat down and did the show. And I gave myself permission. I was like, look, this doesn't have to come out until Monday. I can redo this if it's a disaster.
Yeah.
And I got 20% in. I was like, this is fantastic.
Great. Yeah,
and I have had so many positive comments about that episode. But if I had just ham-fistedly shoved a guest in there for the sake of having a guest, it would have been a disaster. I know who it would have been.
Yeah.
And it would have been a disaster. Yeah.
And I bet you were pretty kind of loose and relaxed, and you could talk about what you were doing in Mexico and the maybe some of the business side of things or this or that. And so I'll bet you that was it'll be one of your most popular shows.
It was great. It went really well. I mean, I had just seen so many products at NAMM. Like you said, I was about to head off to Mexico, and it was like, nope, I'm just going to talk about all the things that excited me about my first time at a conference like this, because I know I got a ton of listeners who, like me, have been interested in this conference for decades, but never went. So let me I get one shot at giving you that perspective.
That's cool. Yeah. And
so it was great.
Yeah. And so it's just constantly thinking of new ways to do things. And I think you hit on it. It keeps things interesting and exciting for you.
Yes.
I like doing it with employees as well, although you have to be careful because some people really dislike, well, let's face it, most people hate change.
Yes.
So there's a way, like one of the things that you introduced to me a couple of years ago was this concept of this 2-week experiment.
Yeah.
So when you have something you want to change in your organization or you're shifting and it's, hey, we're going to do this 2-week experiment. Even if in your head you're like, oh, we're doing it. This is happening. But you introduce it as this 2-week experiment or 30-day experiment and kind of ease your way into it. And I love it. I do it all the time. That's great.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. And it is nice, even if with that 2-week experiment, even if you know this is going to be permanent, when you say and present it as a 2-week experiment, you also are giving yourself permission to bail.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you always could have any way of,
right?
Yeah, or adapt.
Adapt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tweak. Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like it.
Good stuff.
So, if, embracing change has been one of the big factors in my career that helped me adapt and keep building. And, when one rug got pulled out from underneath me, I was able to shift into the next thing. When, I could list, I've had parts, repair parts, electronics repair parts businesses my whole life. And the customers that I had, some of the biggest in the industry, Circuit City, Radio Shack, The Good Guys, all these companies spent millions of dollars with me. Yep. They all went out of business, one after another after another. And so you're just like, oh, how am I going to, what do I do? How do I replace that? So you have to be agile and start to project when you're reading about, hey, Circuit City's, earnings are 50% down or whatever. I was like, okay, how are we going to, what do we do? How do we support them as best we can? But how do we start looking down the road for the next thing? And that's
smart.
Help guide you. So.
Yeah, it's smart. I love it. Love it. One thing, an additional thing, in fact, that you can do to ensure that your business keeps moving forward and, I dare say, puts you ahead of 99% of your competition is to always be following up. Believe it or not, this is something I saw Scott Jordan, our recent guest from Scotty Vest. I saw him post about this years ago, and he would use it as a litmus test with people. if a new vendor was coming on board or a new employee potentially, whatever, he would create a scenario where he would be like, I can't talk about that today, but follow up with me in a week. And if they didn't, he knew they weren't the type of people he wanted to work with. And if they did, then of course it would move forward. But most people aren't doing that litmus test intentionally. Most people are doing that litmus test as a default because most people don't have it in their calendars to follow up, especially with vendors, right? A lot of times you follow up with your customers, the people who pay you.
True.
But you kind of leave it on the vendor to do your work for you. And I always say with a lot of our customers, it's our job to make your job as easy as possible. And that means we need to shoulder the load of kind of the grunt work if we can for you. Like that, it's an easy way to endear yourself to people, but always following up is something that I have found to be one of the most valuable practices that I have employed.
I like that. What tools can you share with us that help you keep track of that? Because I'm not the most organized person in the world,
right?
And so how do you how do you prompt yourself to keep following up like that?
One of the things that I use is a service I've mentioned many times called SaneBox. And SaneBox is it's an email inbox management tool.
Okay.
If you were to go to SaneBox and start looking at it, I'll put a link in the show notes. Actually, I have a link that gets me something and gets you something too. Perfect. It gets credits for both of us. Great. Yeah. But if you go to SaneBox, the primary thing they lead with is we will help reduce clutter in your inbox. And it does that. And without that, I'd also be sunk. However, one of the features that's kind of buried in there is something called Sane Reminders. So if you and I are emailing about something and I say, all right, great, here's this proposal, and I know that I want to give you 4 days to review that proposal before I come back and knock on your door and say, hey man, is there anything else you need from me?
Okay.
Then what I do is I send you that email, but I BCC a special address at SaneBox. Now that address would be something like 4days@sanebox.com. And if I were to BCC that and you didn't reply to me, 4 days later, I would get an email from SaneBox that reminded me to send you a follow-up. Yeah. If you did reply, I wouldn't get it because it would know. Now, there is a way I can say 4days.keep, and then regardless of whether you reply, I'm still going to get it, right? And so it's life-changing. I could also use my to-do list, and I do.
Sure.
But the email thing is key for that.
And those email addresses that you BCC, do you have them set up like as a text expander thing, or you just remember them?
I don't have to because my email client, like yours, like all email clients, remembers.
Okay.
So once you start using them, you can do 1 week, you can do 6 months, there's all kinds of things. And I could even do, I have one where there's a certain type of follow-up that I do every Wednesday. And I highly recommend that you pick a day and even a time of a day, a block out just an hour a week. I mean, you don't need a lot of time, but block out time every week to do your follow-ups. And this way,
I like it.
You're not going to be like, I know I got to get back to that person, but I don't have time here. It's like, no, I've created time. I don't need to worry about it. So I have a thing where I can say, I do it on Wednesdays. So I'll say, I'll BCC Wednesday plus 2 weeks at sanebox.com. And then that will remind me 2 weeks from Wednesday to follow up with you. So I'll get it when I want to get them at the pacing that I want it to come in at.
Okay, I'm gonna try. It. You've been talking about this for a while. I'm gonna use.
It's so great.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, you can use my link.
That's awesome.
Of
That's
course.
great.
Yeah. No, it's killer,
I like
man.
that. Yeah, and
the other thing I use is the reminders feature in Slack. For the same, I use it the same way. If I have interactions in Slack, and then you get reminders at 9 a.m. or whatever time you set, on the day that you set it. Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
it. No, that's great. Yeah, if you have productivity tools like this that you'd like us to share, feedback at businessbrain.show. We're all here trying to help each other be successful. We'd love to hear them and share them with everybody here.
Couldn't agree more, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
And go leave us a review because we're going to start capturing that information to give away something awesome. Last time we did this, we gave away a MacBook.
Yeah.
Businessbrain.show/reviews. Let us know what you think. I know there's a lot of folks that always tell me how much they love the show, and my response is always like, thank you so much. Go leave us a review.
Please leave us a review. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Thanks so much for hanging out. Like he said, businessbrain.show, businessbrain.show/review or /reviews. It doesn't matter. Or feedback at businessbrain.show. And we'll see you on Friday. Keep living that charmed life. All right, we're out. Great.
Awesome. Very good. So if you're watching or listening to the live stream, we're in between episodes here. Dave is going to do some prep work with a service and some stuff we use that I will then go fix up after the show. Did you hit the record button? Did you make sure?
Yeah, it's always recording.
Yeah, I know.
I made that mistake a long time ago, many times. It's been a while. So
the good thing is,
knock on wood.
The good thing is I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut about this topic, so I could probably have that conversation again.
You and I could do another episode again.
I wouldn't even.
It would be totally
know.
fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
But so while Dave preps that for a couple of minutes here, and then after the show, I'll go kind of tune it up a little bit, and we'll post it quickly so it's out tomorrow. And then the next episode we're going to record here after that is our Friday episode. We're going to talk about what I kind of call the warped perspective of online stuff. So I think you should stick around for that and hear my take on that. And then we're also going to give you we like to do an AI update on Fridays and talk about tools or methods or things we're using AI for, what we like, what we think is ridiculous, and what has to get better. Because just like I talked about before, change being the only constant, as business owners, we need to we really need to adapt the AI to our business, not the other way around. So
fair.
This is just another tool, and it can do a lot for your business and save you a ton of money, and it's definitely worth investing your time and money into. Or it doesn't even cost that much money, but certainly takes time to learn how to use it to enhance your business, make it more productive, and make your life better so you can live that charmed life.
That's the idea.
Yeah, that'd be good. Okay,
I am almost finished here.
Yeah, great. That's good. There's we're almost to 400
nice
listeners or viewers on the live stream. Let's see if we can hit. My guess is, or my
I actually saw some on both Facebook and YouTube today.
That's really
which
good.
Is good.
Always good. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great. Awesome.
Yeah, there were two YouTubers before, and which is good. I like to see that.
And I like to see more on the BizBrain show account too. That's terrific. Yeah, I think that's great. $3.99. So I predict we get to 500 in the next 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes that we will be recording.
I think you're right.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah. Yep. I think
that would
be great.
I'm ready to rock.
All right,
man.
Let's go.
Okie dokie. Here goes nothing. Business Brain, episode 621 for Casual Friday, February 7th, National Working Naked Day. It's more difficult than you think. 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take a few ideas, we crunch them, we analyze them, we dissect them, we use them to ensure that we are getting every ounce we can out of every experience any of us has and using it to make sure we keep on living those charmed lives. Here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And out here in Northern California, I'm Shannon Jean. I'm happy to be here. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yeah, man.
Yes. Hey, I want to talk about, since we spend so much of our time online, it kind of gives us a warped perspective. And I mentioned it to you before we started recording this week's episodes, and you were like, yeah, exactly. And the example I used was like if I posted something online and for my business or whatever, and maybe I had 15 likes and not very many views, whatever, 50, 100 views, I kind of would consider that a failure, right? But if I gave a
lot of people would.
A lot of people would. Rightly so, right, Andrew? I get it if you're trying to grow and get exposure. But if I gave a talk in person and 15 people came up to me to tell me how much they liked my talk, and there was 100 people at the talk, dude, I would be a rock star. I would just think, that's amazing. So it's important to understand this perspective that, and to even put a little more nuance on it, is that if 15 people liked it, probably 100 people liked it but didn't do anything, right? Or just some big number.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Yes.
If it's just we're so focused, or not focused, but maybe it's just me, so I only speak for myself, but being focused on these numbers and thinking, and I remember who did we have on the show years ago? Paul, he had a company that made conference tables, and he wrote a book called Boss Life or something. Remember that?
Okay.
He asked us about the show, and he said, well, how many downloads you get? And at that time, it was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, you're like, well, we only get about 3,000. We get about 3,000 downloads a week. And he was like, hey, don't downplay that. He's like, that's amazing. Why is that not good?
Why is that not good? I know.
And so we just kind of get this perspective of vast numbers because the internet's, ginormous. And so give yourself some credit that if you have an impact on one person, and you connect with them, those are the things that are really crucial. And those are the things that stand out.
Yep.
Like I wrote a post one time about always being an outsider, and I had one person come back and say, dude, that's my life. You nailed it. And
there you go.
I was like, oh, it really meant something to me that he called me out and said, hey, I've connected. This is everything you described. I've been through this kind of thing. So I was like, well, that's good. I hope that's helpful that I shared this concept of being an outsider. So anyway, I just don't get stuck in this warped perspective of what's happening online.
No, it's interesting that 3,000 number resonated in my head when you said it. There's the Beacon Theater, is a theater, well-known, famous theater in New York City, where lots of people played. It's now owned by the Madison Square Garden Group. But it's always been there. It's been there forever. It's actually the place I saw my first concert.
Oh,
and
cool.
Yep, and it holds 2,894 people. The place is huge. If you walk in there, there's a lot of freaking people. Like, you're going to wait in a long-ass bathroom line if you go to the Beacon Theater. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, like, that perspective. And to your point about speaking at a conference, I was at at that NAMM conference recently. I went to see a person speak. He was talking about the new book that he has out, and his name is Narada Michael Walden. And you might not know that name. Okay. But he's a drummer and a producer. He started his career in drumming, playing in fusion bands like Weather Report and Mahavishnu Orchestra. And then he also played with Journey for a while. He was mentored by Quincy Jones. There's going to start to be names that you hear. And then he produced Aretha Franklin and Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. Right. So fairly... he's got a pedigree there. Like, really does. There were, and this is a conference of musicians where I would presume 40% of the people there, if you said that name to them, they'd be like, oh yeah, Narada, like obviously that guy, like he's held in his name is mentioned in hushed tones, right?
Okay. Yeah.
There were maybe 100 to 150 of us in the room to see this. That's quote unquote it.
Yes.
Yep. And then afterwards, there were maybe, like you said, 15 or 20 people that I saw get in the line to go up and say hello to him. And that guy, I happened to be with a friend of mine who is a professional photographer.
Okay.
And they asked him to come and take a picture of Narita with the gentleman that like moderated the session and all that.
Okay, sure.
And so we waited, and they finally said to my friend, okay, like it's going to be time because they're going to throw us out of the room. So we're going to steal Narita away from this line of attendees that are trying to talk to him so we can get this picture. And his publicist went over and was like, Narita, we need to. Then he said, he turned to him and he said, no. He said, I am nothing without my fans. And he ignored his publicist and kept going and did not come and take those pro pictures until all of his fans. Yeah. But what was great was it meant that I got my picture with him taken by a pro.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool.
So that worked out for me. And I got to have a conversation with him. We have a mutual friend that he's played a bunch of music with. And so we talked for a little bit. But that was the thing. Like every single interaction he had, he made sure was meaningful.
Yeah.
And it was quote unquote only 15 or 20 of us.
Yeah. So it's put it in perspective and think how you can have big impact, and it can feel like a grind if you are just putting good content or valuable posts or even blog posts, like a blog post on your own company website
or a podcast, for example.
Oh man. We both laughed.
This is my third episode of the day, Shannon.
Yeah, I know. And it's a tough one because I feel great now doing the live stream because I see the numbers. I'm super number driven. I just can't help it. Yeah, so I'm like, oh, there's 439 people on the live stream. Maybe there's not, but for me there is.
There's definitely not. We know there's not, but it doesn't matter.
It does not matter. It motivates me, keeps me going. I'm hoping to impact one of you, right? That would be a huge, huge success. If one of you send us an email, and I get this now that I'm on X more, I get comments like, man, I listened to that last episode and it was so great. And, that I want that. Like all of us, I want to be purposeful. I want to be valued. Yes. And so getting to hear that and getting that perspective. So I encourage you not to get lost in the daily grind. And I also encourage you to reach out to people that are creating content that is having a positive impact on your life and tell them. Guys like us, businessbrain.show/review. Go leave us a review. Please. That would help us tremendous. We're going to give away something awesome. Last time we gave away a MacBook, and we're going to enter everybody that leaves us a review up there. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Shannon, I don't know why it took this long for me to, for either one of us to have this idea, but, we talk about how we do this segment about AI on the second show of the week.
Yeah.
Right. And why isn't it Friday? FRIDAI.
I like that. It's Friday.
It's Friday. Yeah, Friday.
Friday.
There it is. I don't know. I just like.
Yes. All right. I have a discussion about this that I think you'll find fascinating. I have a great friend of mine that I follow on X, as a lot of people follow him as well. His name's Chris Corner. His account is MHP_guy, because he also invests in mobile home parks and things like that. But he's super crazy business nut, lots of great ideas. So he always talked about this idea is like, hey, on Craigslist, there's tons of pianos for free. People are just trying to get rid of them because they're big and they're heavy. And you could do this with any big item you think people want to get rid of. But he's like, those pianos, and he talked about this about a year ago. He said, what if you went to every one of those person that's trying to give away a piano, which I don't think very many people go pick them up, right?
Right.
What if you went to each of those people, reached out and said, hey, I'm going to be in your neighborhood for $200. I'll come pick up your piano for you, and I'll recycle it, or I'll donate it, or whatever. So his concept was, you could probably make $2,000 in a weekend driving around picking up pianos. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Flipping the script on it because you're solving a problem. Of course, they want to give it away, but they need to really get rid of it, right?
It's more about getting rid of it than
Getting
giving
rid
it
of it.
away.
So he had this whole
And the
thing,
person who wants to take it is happy to take it, also needs someone to deliver it because most people
that's
can't move pianos
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. So his concept is like, hey, this could be an interesting side hustle, da da da. He's talked about it before. So last week, as you know, you may not know, but OpenAI, ChatGPT, they announced, maybe it was a week before, a new higher end. Well, they have a higher end service. It's $200 a month instead of their $20 a month. And with the $200 a month type of account, you get access to this new thing called the Operator.
Okay.
And the Operator is basically like an agent that goes out and does stuff for you.
Oh.
Okay. So Chris, and if you go to his account on X, you can watch him do this. He recorded his screen as he was doing it. And he said, okay, I'm going to create this. I'm going to tell the Operator to go to my Facebook Marketplace account. And people are listing this stuff on Facebook Marketplace all the time, as well as Craigslist, but he did it with Facebook Marketplace. Go find everybody who's giving away a piano within a 50-mile radius of where I live. Take this message that I'm writing and send it to every single person there and offer to pick up their piano for $200. And when they respond, this is the response I want you to say. And he created this whole thing. You got to watch it. It's crazy. It wasn't 100%.
Obviously.
It was a little slow. It's brand new. It's a little slow, but it did it. It did it. It went and did, and he's like, wait, I just got a response as he's recording it. And somebody is responding and the AI is responding. And he's like, my Operator is responding to that. This guy has no idea that he's talking to my AI right now. And so what I love about this concept and what I love about Chris's content is it's very simplified, right? It's not some crazy complex like, if you're going to build a SaaS and you're going to do this with your biz development. No. Let's just use going up and getting people to pay us to pick up their pianos. It couldn't be easier or more simplistic.
More simple. Yeah, picking up pianos is not easy.
Not easy.
No.
Yeah, you got a couple big guys, right?
Yeah.
But his concept is like, I can have this do this every day.
Right.
I don't have to be there. It will just go out every time someone does it. And you could say, hey, let's wait and do a posting that's been reposted. So they've had it for a couple weeks and nobody's picked it up, the piano. So maybe they're a little more interested in paying you $200 to come pick it up. And as I watched this, and I responded to him and I was like, wait a minute, you're blowing my mind here. And he's like, oh, I totally thought of you as I was doing this because I love all this crazy side hustles too. The opportunities for these agents and operators it will be life-changing for us. You will no longer like, I need an appointment for this. I need a reservation for this. Your agent or your operator, you'll just tell your phone, hey, I need to find a great place, a romantic restaurant that I want to go Valentine's Day, or I want to do a trip to Napa. I want to go to these 3 wineries. I need some appointments, all this kinds of stuff. And this ways to make money with it is to taking information and using it to create a new revenue stack for yourself.
Now, I know this isn't the only feature of ChatGPT Pro, but it's one of the newer ones. Fine.
Yes.
Great. But imagine, if you would, 5 years ago, I said to you, Shannon, hey, look, I know we're talking about, virtual assistants, which is a term I still don't like, remote assistants, offshore, whatever you want to call it. The cost is, of course, less. And so you can get somebody for, $20 an hour instead of $60 an hour to do some of this work, or maybe less. I don't know. And in that frame of mind where we were thinking about this 5-7 years ago, if I said to you, or if I could just, if you could just pay $200 a month to have somebody on the clock for you 24 hours a day, and no one was going to be mad that you were overworking some poor human, Would you try that for a month?
Oh, are you kidding me? Of course.
Of course. But here's the
course.
problem. Everybody sees ChatGPT. It's like, oh, well, it's $20 a month. Why would I pay,
right,
or
yeah.
free? Why would I pay $200?
$200? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I could tell you right now, the first thing I thought of is, so I buy lots of stuff at auctions, right?
Okay.
That's my thing. So the great thing about this is you don't have to program this operator. You're literally just telling it.
No, just tell it. Yeah.
I need a new gazebo for a vacation rental that we have. So I go to the operator and say, listen, here's my login credentials to get on this auction site that I belong to. And I want to buy, let's say, a store return or overstock of a gazebo from Costco.
Okay.
Here's my login information. Great. It goes, okay, I can log in, I can access it. I want you to be on the lookout for this product. They update these auctions every day. When you find one in this condition, that's this size, here's the amount I want you to bid on it. And then I walk away.
Hang on. No, this is great. But what you just gave me the idea was, well, we have all these services like Zapier and all the things that like glue the internet together that we pay little bits for. And they're frustrating or IFT, right? IFTTT or Zapier or whatever.
Yes.
And you've got to go and essentially build the scripts in there. And they're fairly easy. They've made
it's a great product.
It's fine.
Yes.
It's a great product.
Yes.
But what if I could just say, hey, every time I post something to Facebook, I also want you to post it if I use this hashtag or some code,
trigger,
some trigger. Every time I do that on my Facebook account, if it's public and this and that, I want you to just copy it to others. And if it's longer, then would fit nicely. Like if I want it to make sure that when it comes on X, it's not, you don't have to click to expand.
Yeah, sure.
You summarize
you
it for me.
Yeah.
Yep. Summarize it to this, do this, take the image, go with it, yada, yada, yada. If it won't do that today, I guarantee you it'll do that in 6 months, but it'll probably do that today.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. And I think companies, we talked about SaneBox in the last show. These companies that are going to, remember I said change is the only constant, right? Like if I was Zapier, I'd be like, oh, wait.
We need an agent. We need to build an agent that someone can communicate with.
Zapier has enabled the internet and connectivity for a decade, right?
Yes.
But if they don't adapt and bring in an AI that makes their service better, companies like this that have these operators or agents are going to eat their lunch because
all day
they're
long.
They're going to go, look, all we have to do is watch you do it one time.
Right.
And you don't have to have a connector. It'll just do it. It'll just go, oh,
That's
yeah,
it.
I'll log in for you. I mean, the method, the thing like, hey, monitor my email. And every time you see this phrase, do this. Every time this person, we're talking about follow-up.
Yeah.
Every time you see me say, I'm going to follow up with you in a couple of weeks, remind me.
Remind me. Right?
This is life-changing. And the perfect example is to start with something silly like a piano. You know what I mean? Because
of course.
It breaks it down.
Or even just your social posts, like something that you can do low stakes. But the next time you find and I'm saying this to myself as much as I'm saying it to all of us, the next time you find yourself saying, oh, shoot, I have to do all of that, stop and wonder, is it worth spending $200 to see if a ChatGPT operator could do that for you forever?
And I guarantee it's going to get cheaper, right? I mean,
of course it will.
It's just going to be table stakes, right? It'll be built in. Apple will go, oh, this is just part of the OS. Yeah. It's just the way it works.
I'm not so sure Apple will ever get there, but someone will.
I hate that. I love that. Anyway,
I love Apple, but their commitment, and it truly is a commitment. Their commitment to privacy has them hamstrung on this AI thing. And I completely understand why.
Yeah,
I completely understand.
Foundation on it, but it's going to be used against them. And
it already is.
I'm willing to give up some of that privacy to enhance my life and build things I want to build. And before we go, I want to just point something out you said,
Okay.
because it's very important. We talk about this all the time. This is not a topic. Maybe we'll turn it into a topic for a show, but you said, I'm saying this for myself as
for
much
sure.
as for the listeners, right? Well, one of the big reasons I do this show, it's really like an hour-long affirmation for me every single week about what I should be doing, about how I should be acting, about how reality is flexible, how action is so important. And I talk about this all the time, how you have to build your inner judge. And there's no way I would be where I am today without having these conversations 52 times a year,
Yes.
520 hours. Let's just use that. Okay, whatever. Yeah, 520 hours a year. Let's
Sure.
just say that number.
Sure.
Over a decade. So 5,200 hours of us talking to each other about our business, what the best practices.
I say that this is the most valuable
Yes.
show that I do, and I don't make the most money directly from it.
No, it has nothing
by
to do
any
with
stretch
money.
of the imagination.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, sounds good.
but it's that, and
Yes.
there's truth to that whole thing. If you want to really learn how to do something, teach someone else how to do it. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what we're, when I show up here, it's as much about me learning as it is helping everybody else learn. I know
Same.
you're the same way. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and it's a craft. So
Yeah.
you
And
just,
it's
the more you do it.
The stuff I talk about, we and I think we do a pretty good job. We try not to preach at all. We talk about, oh, this has worked for me, but I failed miserably at this. But there's much of this stuff that I talk about that I'm not very good at, your list and keeping productive and this and that and the other. It's like, well, I'm doing the best I can, but I'm better because I'm here every single week. And I hope it has that impact on our listeners' lives as well.
Same.
And if it does, leave us a review.
Awesome. Leave us a review.
businessbrain.show/review. You'll be entered to win something awesome. Last time we gave away a MacBook. We're going to figure out what we're going to give away. Do it.
Do it. Do it. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Like he said, businessbrain.show/review. And then shoot us a note, feedback@businessbrain.show. We love hearing from you. Reply on socials. It doesn't matter where you find us. Just find us. We love it. Thanks so much. Keep living that charmed life. And we will see you next week.
Have a great weekend.
Sweet. We're out.
Nice. It was good. A
was
lot
good.
of good. Yeah, that AI thing is amazing. That operator thing, dude.
Dude. I
Just
mean,
wild. I can remember the first time I saw the ChatGPT create a summary or answer a question instantly. And then when I saw it create an image, I was like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, look at that. That's amazing.
I know.
Shutterstock or whatever it is, they're in trouble. They're screwed.
and they are.
Yes. It's like, oh,
And
I
I-
hate.
they were so mean to me.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
They were terrible.
Yeah.
I never wish a company would experience trouble, but it was like, dude, if this is the attitude you're taking, I guarantee you're going to lose. You need to change, adapt. Well, no, that's not how it works. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, it
I'm not going to, this is not the way to retain my business by shaming me for having multiple people using my account, which isn't currently happening anymore. Not at the moment. Yeah.
You got it.
Terrible. Terrible.
Awesome. Okay, well, live streamers, thanks for hanging out with us. And
Yes,
like I
please.
said,
Yeah.
the first episode we recorded previously will be out tomorrow, February 5th. And the second version or second episode we just did will be out on Friday. So thanks for joining us. I'm going to end the stream right now. Take
Sounds
care,
good.
folks.
Later.